Hello everyone, welcome to the session. So let's let's first discuss about the agenda that we are going to have in today's session. In today's session, we are going to focus on the very important point that is mostly making the changes in terms of the look and feel of Salesforce Lightning, which we can do by multiple ways. By the way, we can just perform this by using any CSS also, and also we can perform by the Salesforce Lightning designing system as well. So these are the two popular ways, and the most popular way is this. Let's talk about both and let's understand how we can perform this activity. So first of all, you know very well the importance of CSS. Whatever changes look and feel we want to make, we can do that by using the CSS. We have a CSS entity also. If you go for the Lightning bundle, then you will realize that there is already a CSS present, and you can just make a change into that, and that's it. So in that case, we can just add some kind of values there, and we can implement it. It's like a regular process that we previously you might have used in terms of CSS. So let's talk about that, how we can do this in Lightning, and after that we will go for understanding how actually we can perform this activity with the SLDS, which is the more popular edition. So now, first of all, let me log into Lightning. In fact, go to Salesforce. So I'm logging to Salesforce, and now go for the developer console so that we can open a Lightning bundle. And now here, create any kind of Lightning component, or let's say the regular Lightning bundle. Let's do one thing. Let's create a new component, file, new Lightning component, and let's give a name in the regular format that we have, CSS in Lightning, and press on submit. Okay, so please note this is the section. This is the section in which we can implement this style using CSS. We can use the same concept in Visual Force page also, and we can use the same concept in HTML also, Java also, .NET also. So this concept which is there is not something which is new in Salesforce. It's already available in the industry. The only thing is the way we are going to use in Lightning bundle, that is a bit different. Otherwise, the CSS is a concept which is common to multiple technologies. So let's talk about now the next thing. What we'll do now here, that we'll just create some kind of functionality, and we'll try to see how we can implement this functionality. And here we'll focus on a piece of code, and we'll try to ensure that we can give some kind of look and feel for that. Okay, so and then we are going to see how we can use SLDS. So first of all I'm going to do one thing. Let me just talk about the code now with you, just 1 minute. let me show you the code. Just give 1 second. Now look at this. We will create one lightning component, and in that lightning component, what we'll do, we will create one div. Okay, and just we are giving some name to this div. Let's say, let's learn CSS, and after this, what I'm doing, I'm just creating a heading. Okay, below are various options, or let's say various colors as per client requirement. For example, whenever we want to use, how we can use it. And here just I'm giving three uh, options in terms of list. Let's say I'm giving a red color, blue color, and green color, etc. Okay, so now here if I just copy this and go to lighting environment and paste in our code and finally save. And after saving I also need to call it, right? So file, new, lightning application, and here I'm giving the name app, for example, like this. Submit, and here this name. Okay, save. So press on preview. So you can see now we are writing something in terms of expectations, that we can able to change the look and feel or give implement some kind of CSS functionality on this piece of code. Okay, but if you see right now, there is a plain text. It's not working, right? Now now let's try to see how we can implement this functionality, and how we can use this by using the SLDS functionality, sorry, CSS functionality. And then I'm going to show you the output. So here what we need to do now, to ensure that we want to give some kind of coloring to this, we need to work on, of course, in that bundle only, and in that bundle the style section only. Okay, so let me show you. See here I'm marking. If you want to work on this bundle and this component, whatever styling you want to give in that bundle, whatever styling you want to give, there is a style element. So for any entity in that bundle for which you want to give styling by CSS, then you need to work on this style section. Click on this and look at this. Right now it's like this. By default there is nothing. It's just talking about what all the possibilities are there, what we can do, what we cannot do, etc. Okay, now whenever you need to whenever you need to write something for this component, then give with the give in the format of dot this, then dot this and some various values, etc, etc. There are some important things we need to remember here, which I'm going to explain you, so pay attention. So first of all pay attention that if suppose there is a requirement and you want to suppose give the background color of entire component, then just go for dot this. Okay, point number one. Second, suppose here in the component, pay attention, in the component, if there is any class with name abc and to that entity you want to give a style, in this case, you will write this dot abc and that's it, style will be applied. I will write all these things by the way in the notes, just pay attention. And third thing, suppose you have any entity, any style which is there, and you want to give any kind of coloring or any kind of styling to the entity present in that component, and that is having a separate class. In this case, you can go for the spacing of the entity with this dot space and then dot the component name. Okay, so let me mention here first of all some important notes. Now here is this CSS which we are going to use and which we are going to implement in the code. Okay, so here you carefully understand the difference. Look at this first level entity. There is something present in dot this. Okay, whenever you write something in dot this, then it directly applies for the component, the entire component body or component level at, let's say, at the top level element. So the top level element h2 and ul, you can see the uh, alignment. See, I intentionally created this alignment. If you see that the top level element here is h2 ul. Okay, so in terms of this hierarchy, inside that if you see we have li. Okay, so it's something like this. First of all, we have h2, we have ul, inside that ul we have ui. So these are the top level element and these are the descendant, right? So just understand this and then try to focus on the code below. It will be very easy for you to understand what's happening. Okay, now see, now here when actually uh, the top level elements are there that matches with the this class. So whenever you write this dot something, so in this Salesforce searches, wherever the particular top level element is present, just go for that. So gray color background is implemented to that, and top level elements are the tags which is connected with the HTML body, and they are not part of any other tags. Okay, now in this example the li tag which we see is not a top level tag because it's inside the ul tag, and the div, if you see there is a class white mentioned, so this also element matches the dot this dot white selector. okay, and renders the white background. So please note, whenever we use top level selectors, we don't have any kind of this dot spacing there. And when you go for the li class, then if you see, we are having a space, this dot space, this space, then dot red selector, and which is actually going to work on the descendant selector. Okay, so it's having the space intentionally because li is a not top level element. Okay, this is something very important and mostly new for the people. So let me mention here one by one everything about this using css in lightning. The way we use css in classic, we can do the same way in lightning but with small changes. In lightning bundle, now this is important, this interview question recently asked in Infosys. In lightning bundle, style is the entity in which we write css for component. So for lightning component, or you can even write for application, but you write in style. Okay, ways of giving or applying css. Now there are two ways to do this, that you know, giving the space and giving not space. So point number one, applying css for top level elements, and second way is applying css for descendant elements. Okay, there are two ways for that. Now here let's talk about this. Let me write here a, and let me write here b. First of all, the attribute class gives us the help to apply the css on any tag. Okay, for example, look at this, we already used this. So if you go for this, so if we make anything like this dot, now I want to only apply something for that entity, for that particular div, where class is equal to white. My target is now from the class attribute, because everything is done in class attribute only. So what I will do, that whatever I will write now in this dot white, then like if you write make anything like this dot white and give any color css there, it only applies to the mentioned div, because it's having the class equal to white. So this way, by the class attribute we focus. Otherwise otherwise in the component we can have hundreds of tag, right? So how we can focus that only this tag the color should be given like red, for this tag the color should be given white. So by this class we can focus, and it's our work or our responsibility to ensure that this class attributes it is different for different entity, that we need to ensure. Otherwise, if you are writing 10 different such classes with white, then it's your mistake. It's going to work for 10 different attributes. So try to keep the name separate, and that's it, then it will be in your control. And now this I would like to keep at the top, because this is again something from CSS point of view, and this is something separate point, which is ways of applying CSS. So top level and descendant level. So let's talk about the top level. So now here the top level elements, we have h2 and UI, and for them we actually writing directly like this. So let me just mention. So here we have h2 and UI. UL matches with the top level element, and top level elements are nothing but those directly connected with HTML body tag, not under any other tag. Okay, so let me write this. Top level elements are those which are directly connected to HTML tag. Okay, and not under any other tag. So if you see in our code, we have if you see that h2 and see h2 is the tag, and this one UI is the tag. Okay, these are the tag. H2 and tags which are which can be considered as top level elements. Okay, now here, while applying CSS for them, we can write this without space format. For example, now take the same example, this white, let's say for example this, or div, or h2 for anyone. Let's say we want to give any kind of implementation, then we can directly write the way we have done. For example, now we are talking about the class. Okay, so this dot white, and let's say background color equal to blue or something like that you want to give, or something like, let me just copy and paste here the code, something like this. Okay, so if you see, there is no space between this and white. Okay, note this. So this way we apply. Inside that you have hundreds of things. We can just refer any website of CSS, which is like a common CSS practices available in all technologies. We don't need to remember that. Just we need to understand what is syntax for background color, what is syntax for font size, what is syntax for font color. Just that's it, and apply it here. Okay, this is something not which is a blocker for you, but this is something what you should be knowing carefully how to apply. Otherwise, the CSS colors, tags, all these things are very common in the industry, and we can just get it anywhere in any open source website or any other CSS related websites. It's nothing difficult, but this understanding this top level and descendant is important. Let's talk about second one. So second is applying CSS for the descendant element, and let me talk about that also, how we can apply this. Now here, when you want to apply the CSS and descendant, now there you need to give some kind of spacing for that. Okay, so here in our example, if you see that the uh, here in our element, the li dot class dot red element actually, which is a descendant. Okay, and for that we need to give some space, and then the color will be implemented. So please note here, let me mention here, by taking the reference of this code and modifying the similar code. So descendant elements are those which are not directly connected to HTML, and they are under any other tag. In our code we have this one, li. So we have li tag, which can be considered as which can be considered as descendant element. While applying system, we must write this with space format. Okay, and let me also mention here, this must, we must write this without space and here with space. For example, let's see. Now suppose I want to give a look and feel for li, then what I will do, now here we just need to give a space between the entities. So for example, in the li, if you see there is one class, if you see in the descendant element there is a class blue. Let's target this class blue. So my format will be like this, dot this space dot blue. Now Salesforce will realize, okay, this is something about descendant entity, and in the descendant entity wherever we have the class equal to blue, it will be implemented for that. So this helps us to differentiate between the top level element and descendant element. If they're having the same class, you just need to give the extra space and automatically Salesforce will do the work. Okay, and if you see, there is space between this and blue. Okay, so now let me just go to the code and see, this is our code which we mentioned in the CSS in the style section, and let me save all. If you see, dot this means I'm just giving the color to the entire body, the component, and of course here directly I'm applying by dot this because it's working on the component level. Here this you can understand, dot white without space means top level element, and these all three are the descendant element. Let me mention this also. This is something which is worth noting. In above code, this is working on component level. So it's working on the component, or let's say means it's applying CSS to the entire component, because we are not working on any attribute. If you see, we are not having any attribute. Can you see, it just directly dot this, that's it, dot this background color. So it means work on the entire component, not on any specific tag inside that component. Okay, so this is called as working on entire component, and this is how exactly we work on CSS in Salesforce. So I'm just opening the code in front of you once more, and if you have any question, then just let me know the line number or say clear in the chat box. Any question or mention the line number. Okay, now let me tell you one important thing. This CSS generally we don't use. In Salesforce, we generally don't use the sales CSS, that is in Lightning I'm talking about. And the reason is we have much more better functionality than this, which is called as Salesforce Lightning Designing System, which is much more beneficial, easy to implement, and we can work on that by better look and feel. So this SLDS is what exactly? Let's try to understand. SLDS is a concept which actually is called as Salesforce Lightning Designing System. For giving the look and feel for that, uh, like a same way of CSS, we have this concept SLDS, but here we can give we have lots of heavy powerful libraries, and this designing system actually gives us lots of advantage to the user. Okay, so let me tell you about this. So let me tell you about this lightning design system. So this is one example for you for understanding that how actually we can use SLDS in our environment, that we have seen already that this is the way by which we can implement the styling in our application. So we just need to write extend, and here let me mention using SLDS in Salesforce Lightning. In that step number A, using SLDS in app. So please note that SLDS stands for Salesforce Lightning Designing System, which is a powerful way to apply look and feel to Lightning app, or you can say component, which matches with standard look and feel of Lightning. So whatever standard look and feel, if you get, if I just go to the Salesforce Lightning environment, let's say you go for the home page, look at this, the look and feel, whatever is present, whatever you can use while implementing any application or using any kind of component, you need to match with the same look and feel which Salesforce is having in the standard way. Okay, like for example this. So in this case, when you want to go for the matching of this, you should be working on the SLDS only, because when you use CSS, it definitely compromises the quality. It definitely cannot match the exact quality of look and feel of Lightning that you can very easily understand, right? So it's just nothing but you're making a compromise by using CSS. But when you are going to use the SLDS, it becomes very easy for understanding how we can do this activity better in Salesforce. And let me talk about now SLDS, what actually it's going to give us, and how actually we can work on this. So for ensuring that we can use SLDS in a better way, Salesforce has provided a very good documentation for us, and about this also we are going to speak. And this documentation actually helps us to understand that what entity we can use when, and by what way we can implement the SLDS. There are SLDS present for table, the banner, or multiple things, or any kind of card you want to show. In multiple cases we can use the SLDS. Okay, so let me talk about that now, how we can work on the SLDS. So this is the website that SLDS is providing, and we use this regularly in our day-to-day work. We use regularly whenever we want to give SLDS to Salesforce. Okay, and we need to focus on SLDS more, not on CSS, because CSS is like an outdated thing. So just it's a part of some interviews and all, and just a part of your some rare projects. If your company is using CSS, for that knowledge just take into consideration. Otherwise, lightning design system is the best way for implementing. Let's get started. So please note that here we need to understand that it helps us to give some amazing look and feel for multiple things, for designs, for multiple roles. Like a developer, like a designer, we can implement the look and feel onto our environment. In terms of lightning, please note that your CSS can be applied in multiple ways, and you can use in Visual Force page also, and you can use in Salesforce One, Lightning Experience, Lightning Out. In every way, your SLDS is going to be impacted. Okay. Now, if you are using SLDS in the Visual Force page, just click on this, and if you see here, use SLDS in Visual Force page by using this add SLDS to your page, and whenever you want to use any kind of look and feel, just inside that you need to give the class. Okay, means at the top just add SLDS. Okay, and inside that whatever entities are there, just give the class which are starting with SLDS. So your Visual Force page also becomes very powerful by this kind of process that we are going to see, by the way, with the code and example afterwards. And go for the CSS is another way, but I told you generally we don't use the CSS. It's out of use now. It's almost outdated, so you can leave this. Okay, this is one way, and by this way we can work in Visual Force page. Second is go for lightning, which is what actually we are going to focus. Now here we can give the look and feel for lightning component, lightning app, and by the way it is just automatically available in the all lightning experience. You don't need to give some kind of special efforts for that. You're using Salesforce Lightning, Salesforce Mobile. For it's going to be applying automatically. And previously we had to also load the static resource for applying this for lightning SLDS in that, but now we don't need to worry about this because it's by default available. Just we need to perform something like this. Where is that SLDS? See, just perform something like this, and your problem is solved. Okay, so it becomes now much more easy. And then there are certain rules which you need to follow, and multiple examples are there for implementing multiple entities. We can use various things in that. So all these things we are going to see, by the way, in detail by code wise examples, and to see how we can implement this SLDS in Visual Force page and Lightning both, but that we'll do in the next session because it's a detailed topic and we'll take in a continuous manner. So any question in entire session? Any question in today's session? From the beginning till the end, any question? Okay, so in the next session we are going to see how to implement the SLDS in VF page and Lightning both, because in some projects they are still using Visual Force page and fully not migrated to Lightning. So in this case, you should be taking the benefit of that. In some projects, they are using fully Lightning experience. In those cases, forget about Visual Force Page, forget about the CSS, and use the SLTS in Lightning component. Both we are going to see in the next session in a detailed manner. So let's meet in the next week, and till then, have a great time.